Motivation. Insight. Yeah. Got my second win.
Bam.
Welcome to another episode of I Am the Change podcast, brought to you by DTR Incorporated, a nonprofit organization geared toward uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities all over the world. I'm your host, Michael Davis, alongside the big dog, Mr. Jason Redmond.
What's going on, sir?
Not much. How you doing?
Man, I'm great, man. Hey, look, I had to dig back in my bag and go get in the crate, and had to pull out an HBCU alum and
Okay.
an educator and a woman in the Durham community that's doing big things. And if you've ever met a person that was at the height of their career and said, hey, I'm good, I'm done, and walked away, that's what I'm sitting next to right here. Yeah, man. So we got Miss Lamand Chestnut Pryor.
Yeah.
So I got it right.
You got it right.
I got it right.
You got it
Okay. Right. I was sitting next to her dad the other day, and I had to text her like, "Hey, I'm sitting next to your dad." So, so
it's good to have you on the show.
Yeah, hey man. Yeah, hey man. We gotta get that. Dad was funny too. That is hilarious.
Oh, really?
The older brother is funny too, though, but the dad is the real OG.
Yeah.
So tell me if I'm wrong. So Lamand, you're from Durham.
I am from Durham.
And this is one of the true facts that I found out about Lamanda some months ago. Lamanda Pryor is a proud alum of Morris Brown College.
I am.
Yes.
I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Only reason I say that is because Morris
They're
Brown,
doing their thing again.
yes, they are back in business and they are thriving.
Dr. James down there doing his thing.
Yes, my frat brother is doing big stuff.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
That's one of the colleges, one of the main colleges from Drumline, the movie.
Yes, it really is. Okay, you know a little bit. You know a little bit about Mo Brown.
Yeah. Mo Brown is Mo Brown. Yeah. The AU Center is back.
I went there in the heyday.
So what got you to go to Morris Brown? Like you had all these schools between here and there.
Ironically, I was slated to go to North Carolina A&T.
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't until the July of my after I graduated from high school, I decided to go down to Morris Brown. Wow. I was like, I can't go to A&T. All my friends going there. I never graduate. So
a good decision.
They are not.
Yeah. And you went to the A.
Did.
You went to the AU Center. You passed.
It was a few other Hillside graduates. They were at Morehouse though, and I had one at Spelman.
And you majored in?
My first degree is radio, television, and film.
Get out of here. So we could have you.
Yeah, that's why I was saying he know what he's doing.
Yeah.
I let it be known. I'm not the tech.
You should have let her set up.
I know, right? And I really would have bought some true equipment, but we good.
Talk about my setup.
Nah, he good.
It's all good. It's all good.
It works.
Nah, he sent me an email. He got some. You about to order that new equipment?
Man,
that you sent in the email.
I'm thinking about it. So I went on Amazon. I got a post from Amazon. It was audio equipment.
Okay.
I might get it though, man. I might. If I get it, I'm about to call you. Help me set it up.
All right, I got you.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Lamand. Then I'm gonna let her tell you. When I say at the height of her career, Lamand Pryor is a former principal at.
It was most people in Durham know it as Carter Community Charter, but under my leadership, I changed it to Community School of Digital and Visual Arts.
Okay, and so Lamand was the principal, the HNIC principal. But so she was at the height of her career, and when I talked to her, she was telling me that God had told her 8 years ago. 8 years ago to start your own company, and I said, man, and she was saying that she started the company, but she didn't move on.
I didn't do anything with it.
Didn't do anything with it. Just started in like, Schedule C losses on my taxes.
Didn't do anything.
Okay, all right.
Like, okay. I was still in school, because at the time I think I was in New York, because I started my educational career in Durham Public Schools here in Durham. Yeah, I did.
I thought you started in Georgia.
No, because I came back married and all that good stuff, and I went back to Central. I'm a 2-time Central grad also.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I went back and got an elementary degree, and then I got my master's.
Central. Okay, all right. And then
so that's how I got into education.
Okay.
Into education, but that's a long story.
You got time.
And then I started at Durham Public Schools, and I was always in schools because I'm from Durham, so I always want to work in schools. That was like they call it the inner city, the schools that people tend to say the students are hard. So I started at Phelps Street. Yeah, started at Phelps Street Elementary.
When I got in education, I started subbing.
Wow.
I went to
Oh.
C.C. Spalding.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I learned right then and there I couldn't go to class.
They were, they were kind of in our cohort, that little
right
Phelps
there.
Street.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
So I'm curious as to what. Oh, never mind. I'll go ahead. I'll say the question. I'll let you continue.
Go ahead.
Good.
Well, I'm curious, like, what brought you to education from film? Like,
The ironic thing is that, you know what? I always say you should move in your purpose. And normally God give you your purpose early before you even realize it. So when I was a kid, I played school all my life. And then all of a sudden, I got into, I want to be on TV. And so I was like, I'm going to radio, television, and film. And I really couldn't break into the industry. Like at the time, my husband at the time broke in real easy. He was a photojournalist. He was hired right away, and I couldn't break in. I did the internship down at PBS down in Atlanta. I just couldn't break into the industry. And I was like, wow, why am I having such a hard time? So we got married, moved back up here, had my child, and I said, well, you know what? Let me just try education. And everything, when I say things ordained, the steps opened up. So when you walk into your purpose, doors open up easy.
Yeah.
So I said, let me go ahead and just, I started actually in a pre-K, because we was in Richmond, Virginia. So I started in pre-K, then I moved down here, kept pre-K, went to school, started Healthy Start charter school.
You did?
Mm-hmm. I was on Dial Street, and I was a teacher there. And then we transferred to Devil Street, went to Central. I was getting a second degree, so it didn't take me as long because, it took a lot of my credit.
Yeah.
And while at Fairway Street, I said I came up through the ranks. I was a teacher. Then I went back and got certification in reading, became a reading first coach, a literacy facilitator. Then I went to Parkwood, and a year and a half after I was at Parkwood, it was like, hey, we need you. I was assistant principal at Parkwood. It was like, we need you to go over to WG. This was in March.
The old one or the new?
The new one.
Oh, okay.
At the time it was all shiny and new, and they had brought those two principals in, and they, handling our kids is not as easy. When I say I'm an African American, so handling African American kids is not, can be difficult in some areas. So they brought me in March, and they was like, we need for you to leave Parkwood and go over WG. And I thought they was talking about June, because I've only been an assistant principal a year and a half. Wow. And they was like, no, this is a Thursday. We need to report on Monday. I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
And
wow.
So that's how I say that story, because people understand how I came up with Fairway Street serves a Title I school. For those who don't know what Title I is, that's normally those with a high free and reduced lunch percentage. And so it was it's still on Fairway Street, the heart of Durham. And then I went over to Parkwood, and I thought it was going to be a little easier. It had like some mixed middle income, but we still had people who come from the lower income. And then they sent me over to WG. And at the time, if people remember when WG was built, they didn't think it was going to be made of people from the lower income. They really made it for like a magnet school. It's a magnet school.
Still a magnet school.
Yeah, still a magnet school. But the thing is, Durham Public Schools is made up predominantly of a lot of African American students. I think we all know that.
Yeah. I'm in Black City.
And so I kind of began to learn how to navigate and educate our students. So Syracuse, New York came and was like, we're looking for some teachers who came down here to North Carolina, start recruiting for teachers to go up to their most, I went to a most predominantly dangerous school up in New York. And so I went there, and it was really, really tough. Real tough.
Yeah.
It was
I'm originally from Rochester, New York. So
oh, really? So yeah, and I
yeah,
went up there during the time where everything had kind of closed down. All the factories were closed. At the time, Syracuse was voted as the poorest city in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was very the meth, a lot of drug addicts, things are kind of taken over the city, but it's come back now. I'm giving this promise. It's really come back around. And so the school system had taken a beating. So when I went there, I was at one of the most persistently dangerous schools. So I went through that, and then I ended up losing my mom. And I decided I was gonna come back here with my dad, as you can imagine. And he
Yeah,
was
bro.
like, you need to come home. And when I came here, I was trying to decide whether I'm gonna go back into Durham Public Schools or what I was gonna do. And at the same time, the same day, I got an offer from a charter school, an offer from Durham Public Schools.
Where'd you go to?
I went to charter school.
Oh, okay. Is that the Carter?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I didn't, so again, I knew her at Carter. And then so when I met her, I was like, man, she's doing big things. So I watched her, you know, because you did a walk for your mom.
My sister died of diabetes at the age of 41.
Gotcha.
And so I decided to start my own nonprofit because we was walking for the American Diabetes Association. And when I called them to see could we get a walk here in Durham, they was like, no, because you're less than 25 miles when we host one. And I said, okay, I start my own. So I started my own nonprofit, and we were really doing really good to COVID. We was holding our annual walk, and we used the money to buy diabetes medications for people in the community. So those who need it. As now I'm proud because there are 2 pharmaceutical companies that have affordable. They just announced that a couple of months ago. But I became like a health educator and learned all I could about diabetes. And we was on our 9th year of the walk, and it was successful. And we was buying insulin, we was buying their diabetic supplies. We were hosting educational classes all around.
Yeah. So you know, so the kids are gonna have my fraternity gonna have a diabetes walk. Okay, yeah, in June.
Wow. Okay.
So I need to put you in contact with
Yeah,
the
because I haven't started back yet since COVID.
So the matter of fact, one of the guys I called, he was clowning me because he didn't know he and I both didn't know the password.
Yeah.
So y'all need to put you in contact with him so y'all can
Oh,
yeah, man, you should have heard her, man. She was giving me the blues too. Yeah, but that's kind of that. But that's what we do. We go back and forth.
We do.
Yeah.
So go to Morris Brown. You go through your whole now. God spoke to you 8 years prior. Started your company. Didn't do anything with it. You just sat on it.
Yeah, I sat on it. I think I did one thing because I decided to start an educational consulting company,
Mhm.
and I wasn't quite sure what niche I was going to go in. So
Okay.
at first, I started trying to be an advocate for students.
Okay. Advocate for students.
Well, for parents to be able to hire me to advocate for their students.
Okay.
So the first case I took on was actually my nephew, and I flew down to Memphis, and it actually helped. It actually helped. Kind of having someone in there to kind of navigate the system and be in the meetings when they're trying to decide what to do with your child, and knowing a little bit about education and all avenues. So
education is the same in Tennessee as it would be in North Carolina.
As it is in New
Texas.
York, there is a common theme around education.
So now we had, I was privileged to have this conversation with you off camera, but you had some pretty radical insights on education. You were saying something to the extent of, why go to school 5 days a week? We ain't got it in 3.
Yeah, and I'm old, as people can tell, I'm old. So I've been around. I'm in my 26th year of education. So I think, to me, I always say this: why, when you look at education, we still educate people the same way my 85-year-old dad is educated?
Yeah.
Why are we still educating people?
85?
85.
Man.
I know he thinks he's 50.
Oh man, Mr. Chestnut is so cool.
He's doing better than me. But anyway. So I said, why do they still, who determined that 5 days out the week, 6.5, 7 hours was the best way to educate people, educate students? I mean, so many things have changed in the world and we still educate the exact same way. One of the reasons why when we was looking for a new direction for the charter school, I pushed for them to go to digital and visual arts.
Visual art.
Digital and visual arts.
And that is
film and photography.
Stuff that I can't
Film and photography and stuff like that.
We start with the esports team. What I did was I took 1 year and I went to different businesses and I started talking to different colleges, and I was seeing what do my students need to be proficient in when they leave here to get a job. Because the reality is I educate students who is going to be a cohort that's not going to go to college, and that's okay because there's so many different avenues you can do to go to college. Yeah. I mean, I love education, as you can see. And I really, show colleges. I mean, I take on college tours and everything, but there's also so many other things that that can be done. You can get certifications in different plumbing and HVAC and all of that. But
good.
I looked around this whole triangle, and when I spoke to the Durham Business Bureau, Wake County Bureau, I spoke to the colleges and all that. There's a few things that stood out. Number one, soft skills are still needed in kids that's going into college. Is a very need. You start talking to a lot of the chancellors.
Okay.
And number two, the digital world in this area, which you all can see, is really on the merge of booming. Like it's going to kind of mimic
Absolutely.
what's over in California.
Okay.
Then when I learned about esports and that they are really now giving real scholarships, esports, to students, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I have Black kids who love to play video games. Why can't I turn it into a lucrative business for them?
And how'd they go?
It's doing well.
Absolutely.
It's doing excellent. It's doing excellent. Even the way they learn, because we use a lot of technology in their learning, in the way they learn, kids are like instant learners now. I mean, you know, everything they do has to be instant. So you're gonna have to get their attention quick, get that main instruction to them for like those deep, minutes or whatever. Yeah. And then you're gonna have to like go to something else, or you're gonna lose them.
So we did a reading program with some young people, and we try to get some of your students. Thank you for
taking my kids.
I know. I learned that too. Mama Bear over here. So I learned that if you have young people, you got to give them some hardcore instruction, give them a break, get back at it, and get out of the way. Yes, and so it actually went pretty well. Guys came in, they read, helped them read. I'm a big advocate. If you practice it long enough, you'll get it. Sometimes practice doesn't make perfect. Sometimes you got to keep practicing. You got to keep practicing your craft. So we had young people that came in, and it was this. Now this is what really kind of bothered me. And tell me if you run into this. When you provide services for young people, do you get more African American young folk families to come, or do you get more Hispanic families to come?
That's a loaded question.
All right. So when we did ours,
what type of service?
We had a reading program. We had more Hispanic families come participate than we did African American families.
One thing I've learned that you have to incentivize it.
Yeah.
It has to be so incentivized. It has to be, and unfortunately it is. You just have to, what can they earn? What are they going to be rewarded out of it? Okay. And I say that because I know, and I start off, kids should just be intrinsically want to come to school, and they should just, and they should, and a lot of them are, but African Americans tend to. That's why we like even sports. We like the competition. We like the gratification of like winning. We like being on teams. I mean, research has shown that that's one of the ways that African American kids learn. Through team and things like that. So when you can incentivize it. Even now, I found how to incentivize parents to get them involved, even though you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to, but you do.
How do you incentivize a parent?
It just depends. Like,
so what incentivification works for you? Worked for you because you're no longer in the.
Well, we always got people to be able to donate certain things to us, so we can get a parents to grocery cards. Or, free massage somewhere, just something that they're interested in.
I got you.
Yeah.
And one of the schools we started when I was at WG, we had started, and I think Craze has kept it going now, but he wasn't there when I was there. Like a parent room. So they can come in and you can begin to help them, help the parent. Because if you can really, and everyone knows this, all my interviews, the school should be the hub of the community in African American communities, like it used to be. The school and the churches, right?
Okay.
So most parents that you have, I mean, whether they're involved or not, they think they're doing the best they can do. Some might not, some not. But if you can help them where they are, whether it's helping provide resume assistance, keeping some job applications in your parent center, helping them with basic computer skills. When I left WG, we was partnering with Durham Technical College to offer GEDs right at the elementary.
Get out of here. Oh man.
Because I figure if I can connect with the parent on their level and help them with whatever they are, because some of them are working, they're just trying to make it day to day.
Yeah.
So if I can help them on that level, then they can help me what I need them help with children.
Well, you're over here moving and shaking.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I hear you.
That's a cool approach. I like that.
I would have. So I think that I agree with you on some of the simplification things you talked about, like with the job skills, and so I like that.
And then the other pieces that when you offer programs, you have to offer transportation.
Oh wow, okay.
You have to offer transportation. It's just so many people that do not have adequate transport. So many kids, African American kids, do not have adequate transportation.
Because it's part of the plus.
We own our own buses. Well, we don't own them. We do own our buses, but they contracted a transportation company to drive and manage it. But we do own our own buses.
Yeah, I would pass by there and I would see y'all had buses.
Own them. Okay. You have to. That's just one of the givens. You have to own your own transportation. So, like, if you all had like a 16-passenger van that can go around to the neighborhoods, pick everybody up, drop them all off, have more participation.
I got you. We could just.
You can write that off as a nonprofit.
We could use our buses.
Yeah. That would have to pay the gas and the wear and tear.
Yeah, that's true. I got you. Next time,
we can negotiate. Well, I'm not there.
You're not there. You're not there. So I got to talk some things about that. So tell me about the education consulting business that you started 8 years ago.
So I just made an LLC.
Yeah.
Well,
the guy told you to do. You did.
One of the things along the way is that I'm a big community advocate. I don't know if you know that.
I do.
I grew up with. You met my dad. He's always been a grassroots community person for years.
So we were sitting on a committee together.
Yeah. And so for me, I've always been an advocate for working in the community. I always felt like even being a principal, you need to be out in the community working for the community that you serve. Right. So even when I was in Syracuse, I connected to one of the bigger churches up there and tried to go out into the community, working in the community. And so my work here was, I'm in the political world because whether we believe it or not, education is politics too.
I agree.
As well as I call it in the streets. So what I did was I decided to do an educational and community reform consulting. And so my first job now working with, I don't know if y'all heard of Hayti Reborn. Now that they're up and kind of moving, they have contracted me to come in and work on one of the teams there. All right. So that's my first one. Mm-hmm.
So we take education. We've already talked about some of the radical things you're talking about. One of the things that is working in the school system, working in the finance part is, I want to say it's ADA money from the feds. You have to, with so many students are at school for the first, I want to say
20 days.
Yeah.
20 days.
And that's how they base your federal money on.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought was we pushed to get them.
Pupil amount.
Say it again.
Per pupil amount.
Okay. Per pupil.
How much going to get you a lot now?
Yeah. So my thing is like, if we push to get the students in school for those first 20 days to get that ADA money, then after that money drops, it's like, do you feel like it's like, if they hear, if they're not. Or is it still that same push? I know when COVID, I thought it was like thousands of students got lost because of just inadequate technology.
COVID was a whole different beast. I don't think anyone was prepared for that adequately. There's no way we could have prepared because there's no one would have saw that coming. So it was really hard to try to determine how you was going to keep up with people attending and how you're going to count them here or not here. So some did get lost, I have to admit. I don't think it was on purpose. I just think it was just so much to try to really keep up with. And you didn't know from day to day what was going to be happening. Because literally school ended with really no notice.
Yeah.
So
I remember when it was they were saying, all right, we're gonna go home and we'll be out for a week. It
was on March 13th.
Yeah, it was
2020.
And like in April, it was like, yo, come back and get your stuff.
Yeah.
Go home.
But ironically, I worked the whole time.
Yeah.
I went in, we had to go into the building the whole time. Because because on the backside, we still had to keep things going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked the entire time. Everybody was home chilling. It was me and my 2 APs.
I went to crib. I went to the house.
Maybe that's why I'm tired.
So, education and consulting. What is one thing that you want to change in education?
I think the funding is still inadequate. That's the first thing. I mean, people think, they're getting the same amount per pupil, But we need equity, not equal.
Speak on that.
Yeah. Because you have if everyone's getting equal, for example, if you come in and your school already have kids that can provide, they can get their own laptops, they can do this, they can do that. If we're gonna be equal, we're gonna give you 10, we're gonna give you 10, but no extra over here. So my 10 can't come in with anything. They don't have any internet services and all that. That's what happened during COVID at first.
Found out who did, who didn't.
Who didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it became more prominent who the haves and have not. I got you.
It wasn't equitable.
It was teachers. You saw teachers that didn't have either.
Saw teachers.
Yeah.
Teachers are struggling.
I agree.
Teachers are struggling because we're not even gonna get on mental health. That's what happened to a lot of kids too. The mental health is crazy.
Yeah.
Teachers too, but teachers also.
Yeah.
It's real. That's why I say even your day, like starting your day, why your day should start the same now. Why should we start the day the same? So we instituted something called, I work with a group called Peaceful School of North Carolina. And our morning meeting, that means our day starts off totally different. We need to come in with like a mental health 30 minutes, 15 minutes, so our kids and my teachers can kind of tone into themselves. And I start all my meetings off with meditation. Yeah. So everyone can kind of in tune to themselves. There's a lot that's going on here.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like to start my days off like meditating, yoga, a certain way every day just to get that mental in order for going through the day. So that's
it's
cool.
real.
Yeah.
I might just start incorporating some yoga in my day.
I mean, I live countertops all day, so I gotta
first.
Breathe.
Just start with breathing exercise first.
Don't start with yoga.
Don't start with yoga. Yeah.
I started breathing exercise. Okay. But I was being, proactive. You do the yoga with the tree pose. Right? So going back to, we talked about the haves and have-nots with the teachers. When COVID hit, like for us, I was at an elementary school at the time, and it was hard because teachers were like, "Hey, can we just come into the school and teach there?"
I just worked there.
Yeah, and it was like, "Nope, you got to stay home." And then it dawned on me like, "Hey, some of these teachers don't have
Wi-Fi.
They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have internet access." Yes, right.
I mean, they may have the ones that the school gave them.
But that was the thing. So when they had hotspots, they were like, "Hey, these are for the students." Yeah, and I saw a documentary that was saying how school buses had Wi-Fi, and I think it was in California, something like that.
They did that here eventually.
Right, but but is that something that you would try to incorporate with your education?
No, we gave all our students Wi-Fi. We gave them all hotspots.
No, but I'm saying your educational reform.
No, I think everyone needs hotspots.
Everybody needs a hotspot?
No, don't give me a bus to put in the middle of a community where it can get shot up or stolen. Give everyone hotspots. I mean, I think if you're going to give students devices, it should automatically come with a hotspot.
You ain't got to worry about getting the password.
You don't have to just go ahead and get on. There's no excuse. Try to move all the excuses that they have, or just make it equal for them.
Not equitable.
I mean, equitable. Sorry.
I got no. I'm just making sure we're on the same page. So when we talk about funding,
how do you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, it sounded like you was about to maybe ask the same question I am. When you talk about it should be equitable and not equal, what steps need to be put into place, or what steps do you think need to be put into place for that funding issue to change?
Well, they're already kind of doing it anyway. They already start with the like the free and reduced lunch. They already have to get the information to figure out if your child gonna be free, your child gonna be reduced, or your child gonna have to pay full price. So you use that same formula, figuring out the amount of funding that should take place. I know we have Title I funds up to a certain amount. That still comes with the formula.
Yeah, that doesn't drop to October.
Exactly. Yep. I'm saying then that doesn't come into October. And then the smaller schools who don't have like extra money, they're suffering into October.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah. So in your reform for education, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. Like North Carolina's 46 in salaries?
Yeah.
How do you
pay is horrible?
How do you have somebody work Well, 10 months out of the year. Well, they got bills for 12 months, but you pay them for 10, and then you ask them to stretch a 10-month check contract, 12 months. Then you take that away and you make them save on their own.
It's very interesting because that's some of the things why, for me, I have gotten a unique look because I've had a chance to work in the charter school world. I've had a chance to work in traditional public schools. And I really now serve on the Carolina Friends Board, who is now it's a private school. It's a Quaker school on the edge of Durham, Chapel Hill. So now I've got a chance to see how all three of them kind of intersect, and it's very interesting how they all work because, like you said, in a charter school, you can control some of how you pay teachers. Now, a lot of them has gotten because, you know, when charters first were designed, they didn't have as much oversight.
Okay.
Now they have all this oversight in the state because the state like, hold up, they making money. So we got to make sure that we have some say over this money.
Now they get funded.
So now they are making the charter schools now have their own division within the North Carolina Department of Instruction that they actually have to end up answering more to than when I was just a principal in traditional public school. But we still get to make all our rules in-house compared to like what traditional schools get. Now, I say that because that gives you just a little more leeway when it comes to making salaries and how you're going to pay people. Like we were already paying people twice a month compared to like you all were at one time only once a month.
Ain't nothing changed. They still get paid once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they still get paid.
It really could change that because the money the money already drops. So they can really change that. They just don't want to change that.
15 for the 30, baby. Let's get it.
We was odd. We were like the 3rd and 17th. It's crazy, but it worked.
Hey.
And you know, in New York, they was twice a month too.
Yeah, my buddy, he lives up there, and his wife works in
that's why one of the reasons why I was like, I'm not going back to
that once a month is hard, man. Oh my gosh.
And then like before holiday, you know, we can kind of change our pay themes and things like that.
But they've gotten better with that. Like they pay the teachers and faculty before like spring break. Spring break, like Christmas, Thanksgiving.
That's good. That's good.
They don't make them wait anymore. But it's
good.
And I say, you know, the thing about North Carolina, you pay what you value. And when you don't pay teachers, they don't feel valued.
Right. That's the biggest,
you know, and you have the government has more money than they say they have. And we've seen this over and over and over again. And so if they really want to start with making a stance with making education better, you start by paying your people. And not only teachers make the school work. Pay your faculty, your staff, pay your bus drivers. I mean, you see now that they have some issues with bus drivers, all of a sudden they creeping their salary up. They could have done that a long time ago. And so you pay what you value. Cafeteria workers, you know, everyone has an important role in that school.
So was it difficult for you? Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
I cut you off, Jason.
No.
Was it difficult for you keeping teachers motivated to teach the students when you were a principal because of that lack of pay?
Yeah. It is. It's a challenge. Especially when you have some teachers have to have 2 jobs so they can just make ends meet. And then when they start getting married and having kids, and then they have to pay that big fee for insurance because insurance is crazy. And it's all what you negotiate. It's funny because I've been very blessed to be able to see all facets of the educational realm because in charter school, like I'm the principal, but you have to act like the superintendent. So you're making decisions of like what insurance you're gonna use, so you learn how that operates.
I should have told me how to come in and put a bill in for y'all.
Yeah. Hey, well, you know, Blue Cross Blue Shield's lost out for the state a couple of years. Whoever did that, you know, they probably fired. Whoever messed that up.
They gangsters, man. Hey, they're like one of the only providers in the area now.
So just, you know, trying to figure out ways to motivate the teachers to just really kind of hang in there. And that's really what's important with being the principal. You have to figure out ways to motivate teachers, motivate parents, and motivate students. Motivate everybody.
You may be a master motivator.
Yes.
Like one of the things when I got my master's degree, like my final paper was on like, hey, instead of paying teachers 10 months, pay them 12 months. If you just gave them those 2 extra months, that's a raise.
Yeah.
And then I can't say that's gonna change anybody's lifestyle, but that changes how they work. That might be the difference between the teacher that works that part-time job throughout the school year, but it might be, or that could be that teacher who's who might be struggling. That might be the answer right there. And to me, it's like do the professional development in the summertime instead of throughout the school year. Because then what happens? It takes away, it reduces the amount of subs you have. The teachers going to workshops. Then it also reduces the amount of time that teachers out because then that raises the quality of education for those students.
Why can't you just put everybody on like a year-round schedule? So they get 3 weeks off, and then in the summer they get 6 weeks off. They get
Either way,
4 weeks off.
Yeah, okay. I don't.
Because teachers get tired.
I
Then
agree.
then they want to take their summer. They say, "Oh, I have to use my summer."
But again, if you did it where they did professional development in the summertime, they can go like you want to go to Disney, all right, go to Disney. But there's a professional development that you want to go to. So you can go to Disney, catch that class, boom, and you're vacationing and doing your professional development. I thought this thing through. I really did. I'm saying.
But then they're not paying for people to travel. They're not paying for travel.
But you were going to Disney anyway.
Yeah, so I don't have to use my vacation. I'm telling you, this is what I'm telling you. How to,
you
it
ain't gotta
sounds
use your
good,
vacation. Yeah.
but Jesus gonna be like, then I have to use my vacation to do professional development.
Well, you're not using your vacation. Yeah, you're off in the summertime. You can coordinate your professional development around your vacation plans.
But now I have to alternate my vacation, my summer vacation.
No, you're not alternate.
It sounds good.
If you weren't going anywhere anyway, hey, now you can go to the mountains. Gatlinburg has they got a just hypothetically they got a class in Knoxville. Knoxville is 30 minutes from Gatlinburg.
But the other thing, me and professional development is like I don't like sit and get professional development.
You don't like sitting in there?
I don't like sit and get professional development.
Yeah.
I always like job embedded professional development.
What do you mean?
Like for my literacy people, I hired a consultant that came year round to help them with their literacy. So
That's
that way
different.
it's not like you just sit and get, and I'm gonna get it in the summer, then I'm gonna try to remember how to use everything the whole year.
I got you.
So to have a greater impact. So same thing you should do like math, bring in like a math consultant that can help throughout the year, especially if you're trying to help teachers with really what they're dealing with day to day, or you're trying to help them understand their data or deal with their students, having to come, I call it job embedded. Job embedded professional development.
Job embedded professional development.
So that way, when they go home, because that's the thing, when they go home, they need to go home. Like I used to tell my teachers, you need to work hard here because you shouldn't be taking everything at home because your home life needs you. Because if not, you're gonna come bring it all here. So when you're here, I need you here. I need you present in the building.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm different from a lot of people.
hey man, I wouldn't mind working for you.
Yeah.
Back in the schoolhouse. So,
so you need funds for that.
You do need
money for that.
So do you fundraise too?
I do, but I use my money just a little different. I use like professional development money. I think about using dollars different from just sending individuals to like a conference, because the money you're gonna pay to send that one to that one conference.
Right.
If I have someone coming in, then I can touch 5 or 6 people with the money I was gonna pay.
Okay. All right. So you're more about bring in the professionals, So that's the same thing I was saying about my plans. You do it in the summertime, but you want to do it year round.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you still can. I think my plan can still incorporate that, but
it could.
We can talk about that more offline. I'm really feeling this thing here. So,
you never had teachers complain about you trying to get them to do something over summer.
Hey, so hey, look, when them jokers checks not right, oh, they complaining now.
Yeah.
They is complaining. They do complain. So, but I know when teachers, you talk about teachers complaining over the summers and not having their summers, so I think that some teachers would be more apt to not so much work in the summer, but to do stuff if they knew that, hey, I'm gonna get paid. I'm gonna get paid throughout the month. Because one thing I've known about just working during public schools, one thing I've learned is if you're paying a teacher, you're gonna get that teacher to do anything you want them to. But I had a teacher this past week came to me and said, "Hey man, I got a little extra in my check, man. What happened?" I was like, "You probably covered a class," and that's what it was. He's like, but I've never gotten that much before. I'm like, he said, if that was the case, I do that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
so no. And it just goes back to people want, it's equitable. Like you said,
they want to be valued.
facts.
People want to
Facts.
feel valued.
Yeah. Extra is always important to you. But I still say that they should pay them
They should.
on a 12-month count, on a 12-month scale instead of a 10-month scale.
They should.
But
I think we all agree.
oh, hey, I've never heard somebody complain about my idea. They're always like, this sounds interesting. So, tell me the name of the company too.
Prior to consulting.
Prior to Consulting. Okay, so we've got Prior to Consulting today.
LLC.
Sorry, Prior to Consulting LLC today.
Mhm.
Where do you see Prior to Consulting? Because this is I meant to take this earlier. So since March is Women's Month.
Right.
I wanted to end the month off with a woman that was doing some things that was phenomenal. I thought of you, and I said, I wanted to get you in here and tell me what tell the world what you were doing. All 88 people are gonna watch this. It might be more, and then get folks to think about education more than just your student goes to school. Like what else? Because I'm a big proponent. My mom never went. She never had to worry about my homework. She never had to worry about my grades. It was always, hey, this is what you're required to do. Make sure you get it done. Don't make me come off my job. Come up there. Now it seems like students just really don't care. But I think it's not that they don't care. I think it's more about they know that, hey, I've got rights. I got things that if I complain loud enough, this will happen. And that's where I think we were talking earlier. I think that's where with helping the parents, helping them understand, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Like suspending a student, like suspending an EC student. You can't just suspend the EC student. They have to have certain things to escalate. That has to be done. There's certain procedures that have to happen. And then once you get to that point, then you can suspend that student. But if they got is it a 504 or IEP?
IEP.
They have an IEP that says, hey, this is what's going on. Boom. They can't go past.
You may have manifestation meeting to determine if it's because of disability or not.
Right.
But this is my take on suspension. And it really, especially, it depends on what it is. Now, if it's those, I call them like the fat five, like someone coming in with a gun or a knife or those types of things. I think, suspension may have to go home. But even with going home, what are we doing with them to help change the thinking if you're going to be bringing them back into the school? Yeah. So for me and suspending, because of course I've always been in a lot of schools like mine who you suspend a child and you bring them back, but what has changed? What is going to really change that behavior? Like, what is their day going to look like for them when they return?
Okay.
So you can start teaching the mindset. So when I have a child, I always want to go deeper on why is this happening?
I know.
And why are you doing this?
Okay.
So what I did at my schools, even the most current one, I created an in-house mental health clinic. So I partnered with a local mental health clinic who provided me with a clinician twice a week. Okay. And the reason why, more than just having like we have our psychologists and all that. Right. But what happens is the clinic allows me to open up like family therapy. Right. Children need to be housed, wherever it needs to happen can happen when I pair it up with a mental health company. So when you get suspended, you come back, but part of your plan is going to be, I need for you to see the counselor twice a week. And if it needs to go further into family therapy, mentoring or whatever, because at the end of the day, I need to figure out why you are doing the behavior. And then it also begins to open up to parents that have to come and let me interview you. So you have to figure out, so let me figure out, is it something, and not times you can begin to figure out, because it can be the parent could probably be, so many different things that goes on, but it begins to help you understand the individual kid. And it takes a lot of work, but once you get into it and then your staff understands, oh, we need to figure out what is the mentality, what's going on with the child, not just the education part, then, for example, when I first got to the school that I'm at, it had a very high suspension rate.
Okay.
Kids would sit out, just sit them out in the, just sit out of the classroom. Just, they couldn't.
Put them on the hall.
Just put it on the hallway. Until you start digging in why kids are acting a certain way, or what can I do to change the mentality. So it took about a year or two, but once we start changing the mentality, the behaviors start changing. And so now you have kids that's doing normal things, like, maybe on a cell phone or something. I call those minor lower things, compared to those minor major things. Yeah. And see, and I don't necessarily like instant suspension should be a temporary fix.
Okay.
Because I need my ultimate goal is to have the child inside the classroom learning.
So let me ask you this question, because talking to teachers, students cutting up in the classroom, teacher asked that child to be removed. Now we're taking that child back to the classroom.
But see, one thing I always tell teachers, once you have me or my APs come in, you have lost your power and you can't tell me what to do with the child. Because have you tried something else? Have you tried to get to know the child? I always tell them, I always try to give them through lunch. Like if your kid that's giving you the worst problems, you may have to give up your lunch period, say, hey, you want to stay lunch with me so I can get to talk and say, hey, one-on-one. You can't ever discipline the child in front of the whole class because you're never going to win. You're never going to win that. But you got to dig deeper. You got to dig deep with that child on an individual level. If you dig deeper with the child causing the most problems in your class, you can settle all the others.
I got you. Okay. I never looked at it like that.
You have to take that extra time, because you keep sitting them out, it's not going to solve what you need for them to do.
They're never going to
because the law says they have to be educated, and the law says to me, I'm going to have to return them back to your class, and there's going to be a repeating door. So if you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, you'll keep getting the same result over and over again.
Understandable.
And whether the child, whether they comply or not, at least if you take that extra time in their mind, they may feel at some point, you know what, I might not want to do the work, but I may begin to have a relationship with the teacher.
I am a component of, hey, look, if you don't want to do the work, just be quiet, sit in the back, get to see, you can push it.
But see, that's why now you use technology. That's why technology come into play. If you don't want to do the work, you're still going to do the work, but now I need you to go on this site, do this work, and you can put your earbuds in, but you're still working on the same thing we're working on.
You're just not.
But you're not disrupting my class, but you're still working on the same thing I need you to work on.
All right, interesting. So
that's where technology can be a real help you with some of those things.
Yeah.
So saying that, do you find that there's some young people that are just so smart that sitting in that classroom is boring to them, but they have to correlate what that education means to their future career endeavors?
Yeah, that's just normal. But again, and I say this because I'm such a big component on technology, because it allows you either to take them up or take them down on their level. For example, there's so many different things out there now for kids. So if you have a child that's sitting in a ELA class and they get bored because the teacher's teaching something they already know,
right? You
need to set up their plans inside their portal, so it's going to take them up to where they need to be and be challenged.
Okay, because I've seen students that just don't want to be in class. I'm like, a child's probably a genius. A child is not engaging with you because that child doesn't want to learn that information, because they already know it.
And probably still present it the same way they did. My child was 80. My dad was 80.
Your dad was.
If your teacher's still teaching, look, I'm 52. So if you're still teaching the way I learned, then it's boring for them. I mean,
it's also got a lot to do with social media and stuff, and the short videos and stuff. So the attention span is not the same.
Attention span is gone.
So, Michael, do you remember back in the day the Vines? How long was the Vine?
Yeah.
A Vine was what, 30 seconds?
30 seconds max.
Yeah. So a Vine is 30 seconds. A TikTok is what? 2-3 minutes?
Well, at max it could be 3 minutes, but most of them are still like 30 seconds.
So you gotta imagine a child's gonna give you. So when I spoke to you about the reading program, you said, hey, good, 25 minutes, give them a break. 25 more minutes, get them home. Because that's the program. So yeah, I definitely concur that it's got to be something that holds their attention, and they gotta feel it within their self. So with that said, prior to Consulting LLC today, where do you see it 5 years from now?
Working in, I think the community and education needs to start intersecting more.
Mhm.
So, helping the community, being a community education transformer.
A community education transform.
Mhm.
How do we transform now, this is my thought, man. For Jason, I think you can transform education by educating the parent on what's going on in the classroom. Like you said, incentivizing parents. How does prior to
This is the thing, that's one of the reasons why I came out, because people don't have to be real with parents.
I hate
And sometimes when you, like a principal, you can be real, but you can't really be raw.
right.
And I'm at the point where parents need to hear it raw.
That's where the advocates come from.
Yes,
Okay.
because they are part of the problem.
Parents.
Parents,
Okay.
they're part of the problem. Even the ones who have it all are part of the problem, because they coddling their kids. They're everything is the school fault or someone else's fault, and not having their kids take accountability, or not teaching kids how you can advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
Talking back to the adults, not how you advocate. And so I used to always tell my kids, you can advocate for yourself, because I'm a proponent of advocating, but let me teach you how to do that and when and where.
So you don't blurt out in the middle of the classroom. That's
right.
wrong.
That's not the way.
Have
That's
a
not the way
debate.
you advocate. You have an issue with a teacher. You ask, can we meet after class? Yeah. So teaching them how to properly advocate for themselves, because now kids are like you said, social media has helped raising them, and then some of the parents are glorifying the behavior, or like especially in kindergarten. Have you seen the kindergarten? Kindergarten parents are like, not all of them. I'm not saying everybody, you all. It's not everybody. It's not everybody. I'm talking about there's enough of them though. There's enough of them in some schools that's really causing people to leave the profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The age of parents, especially in kindergarten, like they're really young too now.
They're really young.
So it's like
right.
they're on that social media stuff and
That
doing
social
exactly
media,
what these kids are doing. And
exactly. Or you can't talk to my kid. Like I used to have to tell my parents, look, teachers may have to raise their voice, because that's the only defense they have in the class, because they can't do anything to kids other than sit them out. So I mean, you have X number of students, and it's just you. Your voice may have to raise.
Yeah.
But yet you're asking, what happened? What are you doing in the class? For example, I had one parent who has 4 different kids, and every year one student has had issues with a teacher every year. Well, by the time that child got to 5th grade and have had an issue with teachers every year, you have to begin to say, is it my child? Or is it all these teachers that has been?
I don't like my child.
Yeah.
I don't like my baby.
I mean, because they should be saying you can't talk to my. They shouldn't be saying you can't talk to my child like that. They should be saying, telling their kid, hey, you need to learn how to respect your teachers, respect your elders. Right. You shouldn't be talking to an adult like that. Right.
And then what happens, it spills over. That's why I'm such a community component. It spills over to now we have young kids not respecting like the law, or not understanding that my behavior has consequences, because parents are always up there advocating in the schools, for their child. They're not going to get this, and they shouldn't be suspended this, and it's too much. And so it spills over out into the community.
Yeah. I think that's I think also when you think about it, if a child talks to a teacher in a certain manner, I bet when that child goes home, they speak to their parents the same exact way.
I don't know. I used to say that. But I've seen some parents accept some conversations that's totally inappropriate. And then ironically, because I always have a good relationship with my students. A lot of students know that's just me. Some of the language they would use, their parent, they wouldn't dare talk to me that way.
But that's a respect factor, right? To me, like if you can respect your principal, then you got to trickle that same respect down. So like coaching football, it's always like, hey, the head coach will say something, everybody does it, but like or the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator says it, they'll do it. But then when the position coaches are the ones in charge, everybody wants to get more lackadaisical with their efforts. You got to rein them back in, be like, hey, just because them guys ain't here don't mean nothing changes. The standard is still the standard.
Right.
You got to still be on the same wavelength. So we're going towards excellence. This is what excellence looks like. We have to prepare in an excellent manner. So.
And then another thing I see that's kind of changing, this is my pet peeve. Like our major school system, I really cringed at the new dress code.
Oh man, speak on it.
I really cringed at the new dress code because it seems like they are giving in to what the students are asking their parents to advocate for. And instead of teaching them, there's still standards. Like you have to understand when it's appropriate to dress where and when. And some things just shouldn't be appropriate. And I know they try to put it back on, oh, they're not economically able to. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
There's nothing wrong with wearing a decent shirt, pulling your pants up, having on a belt. It does not cost a lot. The same amount of money that you're spending and getting them bonnets and all the other type of stuff, you can get regular clothes.
So Michael's in Seattle, so you got to speak on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yes, sir. So you got to speak on the dress code so you understand.
So the traditional public school system here, most recently this year, enacted a new dress code policy that's really lax. I mean, they're let midriffs in now.
Yes.
What?
I think, like bra straps and spaghetti straps can be shown.
Are shown now and stuff. Oh, that's
I think now even the boys can begin to sag some. You know, like the under things can be shown and things like that. Undergarments, and it's because I said they was trying to equate it to, people economic status, and that people discriminate when you say not to wear those things. And I think, to me, it's not giving us Black Americans enough credit to understand that should be a proper place for everything. When you go to church, they don't wear that to church.
Can't sag in church.
Can't sag. I mean, I'm saying and I'm not saying you have to be in your 3-piece suit. I think I'm one of those that think jeans are okay in church, but you're not gonna be sagging in church. But what happens is they don't begin to understand in their mind how to change the two. Like, I'm not in the street hanging with my friends. I'm at school. So in my mind, they're keeping that same mentality going.
I think that I went from elementary to middle school, and the biggest jump was puberty. And so what you have to take into consideration is, hey, if you let your child wear that to school, you got to remember your child might be shaping. Your child might be, if you have a female, so I had to be cognizant of things my daughter wore to school. My daughter has a shape. So I was like, so people were calling, hey, your daughter got such and such. I'm like, I didn't see it. So what was it? So I called her like, hey, what do you have on? And so she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, when a teacher said you had such and such on, she's like, no, I got on such and such. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, hey, she said she got on such and such. I didn't see it, but I'll run by there. And you go by and look at what she got on. Oh, okay, I can see what you're talking about, but unfortunately, but yeah.
I said, now I don't like that either. I'm like, if the rule can be the rule, I can't help that my daughter may be shaped a different way, or she might not have a shape.
But you ain't gonna let her come out there with a midriff out there.
I don't think midriff should be allowed. I don't care what size you are, midriff should not be allowed. It's like, I don't care who you are, or how you shape. Midriff should not be allowed.
Spaghetti strap should.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is, you wear that when you're out with your friends and weekend or whatever.
I concur. But I think
absolutely.
What I'm saying with the new dress code, and you're letting the students come in, female students come in with midriff showing, spaghetti straps out. You got to take in consideration that what does your child look like? Like you're broadcasting something to a male student that is going through puberty at the same time.
Well, you can't say male and just male anymore.
Students.
Yeah,
okay, I forgot.
Yeah.
So we can't just broadcast information to just the students, because they're going through a certain puberty change. They're going through hormonal changes, and they're learning themselves, and now they've got something in front of them that might excite them. And which could be a distraction in their learning process.
And it goes along with what they already see on social media. They already see this in TikToks and Instagrams and they own other things. They use Snapchat, and I forgot the other one. It's a new one there. I can't remember.
Snapchat. Oh my God.
No, there's a new one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But TikTok and Snapchat, my new social media accounts.
And so, I mean, all the videos they watch, because, music has a big influence over and all the, I mean, y'all seen the people out there. It's like you're the best and you wear less. That's what I say.
Yeah. The music is horrible now. I mean, at least back in the day, it was like metaphors about certain things. Now it's just like blatant, boom, like, oh, all right, wow.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, just
and everything is glorified. I mean, I just I say the weapons and everything is glorified.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
so being real with parents, I think.
Yeah.
You need to start being real. You have to start being real.
And I think parents can't be sensitive. So yeah, you can't be sensitive.
And then the second thing is that we have teachers now that's in that same generation. So they're also feeling them. They can't be talking to me that way. So I'm like, well, okay, hold up.
Oh man.
I want to be respected.
Yeah, I want to be respected. And so you have this shift in the generations that's coming through. And that's why I'm saying now education needs to take a look at how are we doing it here. I do know there's some states, some cities are looking at going to a 4-day week because they're trying to shake up, doing the things the same way we've been doing it. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, who says that? Like, I know when I was teaching reading, they used to say you have to have at least a 90 to 180 minute block of reading. Wow. And I'm like, who determined that? I mean, I know they said they did this research, but who determined that you need to have a 90 to 80 minute block of reading for people to be successful?
Obviously, somebody wasn't reading.
I mean, well, it's made up of like your vocabulary, your phonics, all that type of stuff. Your writing.
It doesn't take 90 minutes.
No, it doesn't. But I'm just saying, who said that?
I do.
Have you tried to teach children for 180 minutes, one subject?
And they're gonna lose. They're going to zone out in minute 30.
Yeah.
Okay. Minute 30 without a break. They out.
That's hard. Yeah. For real. Yeah. That's hard. Because I mean, it's also it goes back to like social media, like them seeing people get rich from either dropping out of high school or stuff or off social media alone. It's like, oh, I can just do this. So I'm about to just get through these classes, check out, and not worry about it. I can't hear you guys. I can't hear you. Is it me?
Bam. All right. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we saw the videos.
Oh yeah. So you were saying something about videos, Michael?
Oh yeah, I was saying like them being able to look on social media and see people getting rich for making content or high school dropouts, like, you know what I'm saying, just making money purely off stuff like that. So it's like, hey, I'm just text through these classes and not really like take in what the teacher's trying to teach.
And it's funny because when now I'm like looking at all these different people trying to figure out like how to do make money for my consultant. And all these people have all these big ideas. I mean, you can just go on there, you can go on social media and research thousands of people that swear out they made $1 million. Mm-hmm. Doing this, doing that, doing this. It's just that simple. Just do this. Do that.
Yeah.
That's the big thing now. We're gonna be multi-million-dollar hype people.
I was saying, it's like you don't need because I hired someone that run my company for me because I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And it's like, you don't need to do that. That you listen to the people that you can do this and do that. I said, they're going to have me a tax deal. I said, I'm not going to do that.
Gotta be careful. As a matter of fact, the pastor said today, you got to be careful who pours into pours into your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talked about Mary Magdalene when she anointed Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair. So he was saying how Judas was saying you could have taken that ointment and made money with it instead of pouring on his feet. And so Mary never responded to Judas. She just kept on focusing. She focused on what she was doing. And then Jesus spoke up to her like, "Hey, just leave her alone." Yeah. So, but that's the point. Like you got to focus on what you got to focus on what you know, what you do. And I always my thought is I always get professionals who do what they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
do what they call it.
Yeah, because like you said, right now, content creators are big.
They're really big. Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's not money. It's money in it, right? But now you have like all these millions of teenagers think I'm just going to do content. I'm just going to create content.
But again, you got to have some kind of education. Again, because working these computers and technology, it's a whole job, buddy.
But they're quick on it. I had while we went to tech, we had a fifth grader who hacked into Study Island. You know Study Island? Yeah. You know, Study Island is a program. I don't know if they're using it. It's a program they use in education. Okay. I know your school uses it, but I keep forgetting you're not on the teacher side. But yeah. But he hacked into Study Island. Mm-hmm. And it's an online program. It's an online tool. And he was able to go in and start changing. And it's not something we owned. It's something that we had to buy. But he was able to start changing the questions and changing the answers. It was a Hispanic guy. It was Hispanic. Now he should be in 12th grade now. It was a Hispanic dude. That's he was real talented. He was hacking into like the power school, changing everybody's grades. And I was like, he gave me the idea. Start thinking about changing the school. Yeah, everyone knows. Every school knows that was him.
Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity. So look, I can sit here and talk to you all day because I just enjoy your company. So what we always ask people to do is, before we let you leave, we try to give you and you're like the first. You're our first live interview.
I'm the first.
You're the first live interview. Everybody else is on Zoom recordings. You're the first live.
But I mean, I had to come out the house, come over here.
You had to come out the house. Yeah. Unless you wanted to come by your house, you're the first. Yeah. So, give the viewers, all 88 of them are gonna watch this.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Give them something to hang their hat on. That from Lamand.
Such as
whatever you want. A little something.
If you're looking for someone to come to you who's real, who have a lot of experience, who understands the community, the plight of parents, children, politics, bring me to you. Bring me as your motivational speaker. Have me to come in if you want me to host a parent group. Bring me to you. You can get to me at Lamanda at Pryor 2, Pryor, the number 2, consulting.com. Have me come in, speak. If you have questions, let me know. I do motivational for all levels, from professionals to little kids. I come into corporations if you're a company that needs to be transformed. That's kind of what I'm working on now with the justice movement. Have me to come in. I'm easy to get along with. I listen to all sides and I create processes and procedures.
Hey, that's what I do. Make some own commercials too with that. Hey, look, I really appreciate the first of many to come. But thank you for being the first in studio interview. Yeah. So
it's been great.
You've been a great host. Great guest. Yeah, great guest. So hey, look, with that said, Michael, I'm gonna let you do what you do, man, and take us out of here.
Take us on out of here. Yeah. It was nice to meet you too. I appreciate you coming on. Well, if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and continue to follow us on this journey. If you've been rocking with us so far, keep on keeping on because we have a lot more amazing episodes to come. I'd like to thank our wonderful guest, Lamanda. It's been a pleasure talking to you and learning a little bit about your story, and I wish you the best of luck in the future. I'd like to thank my amazing co-host, Jason Redmond. It's always a pleasure, big dog.
Hey, man.
Nice to see you pulling something else out the bag again.
Hey man, HBC alums, man, Morris Brown alums, man. I'm just so happy to be sitting by her side.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we are DTR Incorporated, a nonprofit organization geared toward uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities all over the world. I thank you for tuning in. And remember, our goal is not to be better than anybody, but together we can achieve better for everybody. Thank you and have a good night. Peace.
All right. Peace.